And there's, by the way, there's Kevin.
Hello, everyone. I
call this meeting of the Lancaster County Democratic Party to order. And would everyone join me in a pledge to allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, well, we have a couple new people and a couple guests, and I'd like to take a minute or two for them to say hi. Anyone in any particular order? Just jump in. Okay, I'll work across the screen. Sheila?
Hi, Keith. I'm sorry, I can't get my video to work.
Oh, it's great to hear from you, Sheila Bickford.
Good to see all of you.
All right, thanks for dropping in.
All right.
Keith, I'm going to interrupt. I think you should go first.
Okay. That's right. 6 years, and I failed to introduce myself at the start of these meetings. All right, my name's Keith Gray Sr. I've been the chair here for 6 years, and a bunch of really great people have made it a great experience. And I'm about to hand over the gavel to the first vice chair at our convention. So thank you very much. And oh, incidentally, I will be running for House District 45 against Brandon Newton. And with the help of quite a nice team, talented team, and experienced team, we're going to flip this one back over. Okay, Mandy.
Are you ready?
Well, just say hi.
Oh, just to introduce myself. Hey, y'all, I'm Mandy Powers Norrell from Lancaster, and I have two Zooms up, so one of them just let me know I was muted, but I'm not muted here. And I served in House District 44 for 8 years, was defeated in the 2020 kind of red storm, and enjoying life since politics, but am happy, always happy to be among Democrats.
Thank you. William St. Louis, who's going to be our outgoing treasurer. Say hi, William.
How are you doing? Sorry, my camera's still not working and I haven't bought a webcam yet. So I am here and we'll talk to you later.
Okay, I can email you that recommendation I gave you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thanks, William. Andrea.
Hi, I am Andrea Barron Robinson, and I'm from the LGBTQ caucus, just being a guest here tonight. Thank you for allowing me.
Okay, Nora, our incoming treasurer.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks, Keith, for all you've done for the last couple of years. We appreciate it.
Okay, and Sheila, do share with the people how instrumental you were getting this whole county restarted, especially in the north part.
I had to unmute myself. I didn't do it. I had a good team, and you included, and everybody through the Indian Land Democratic Club and the South Carolina Democratic Party and your Lancaster County Party. We all did it as a team. No one person can do anything. So I always appreciated everything you did for our club and for the state of South Carolina.
You're welcome. Okay, JDS. Yes, someone's shy.
I think
Okay.
that's
No,
Joel.
That's Joel.
Oh, is that Joel? Jeez. Okay. We all know Joel. Okay, Alan?
What you want from me? I'm at his beck and call. I'm going to be his campaign manager again. And we're going to try and see if we can make some headway with some things. Just a little FYI, Sheila Bickford and I came down with the same contingent when Duracell moved a bunch of us from Connecticut here. So that's just a little tidbit you all can know.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah, her husband, Benny, worked with me.
All right. Effie?
Hello, everyone. Good to be here. Good to see everybody, especially Mandy. That's why I'm on tonight. Wasn't feeling well, but I got on because she was on. And my camera's not working.
All right.
And I
Katie?
came, and Sheila Bickford got me on board. I don't know how many years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Katie?
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm the first vice chair. I do what I can when I can. And Effie, I'm so sorry to hear you're not feeling well. I haven't been either. This is not a good week for people with allergies. But thank goodness for medicine, and thank goodness for all of you. It's so good to see everybody.
Okay, thank you. Carrie? Carrie, you're still muted.
How's that?
There you go.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
I'm Karen Ballard. I'm from Kershaw. I live in the southern part of this county and serve as secretary.
Oops, you got a little crossed up there. Okay, thank you, Karen. You've been doing a
Keith,
great job.
Keith, I was on mute. This is Joel, and I want to apologize to everybody. Keith asked me to send out a very quick email to let everybody know that Mandy was going to be our guest speaker. And I immediately got in trouble with my wife by the choice of pictures. So I apologize to anybody who finds that picture inappropriate.
I thought it was terrific, Joel.
I appreciate that, Joel.
Those who may not have seen it, it was a kitchen scene with a drop platter of spaghetti, I think, and it was drop everything, join us tonight to listen to Mandy. Brilliant. Okay, Carrie.
Yeah, I'm Kerry Kimmel. I'm the executive member for Lancaster County on the state board. Been doing this for a while. Enjoy it. Look forward to giving my report later on.
All right. Thank you for your service too. Bonnie, you're up. I'm just working my way across my screen, which nobody knows who's next.
Right, yeah, because my screen is in a completely different order. So it's it's like random sticks here. So I'm Bonnie Peterson. I've been around this group about 4 years, maybe 3-4 years. Enjoying meeting Democrats in the area. I'm up in the northern part of Indian Land as well, real close to the North Carolina border. And I play with Vet Builder, so I do the lists as we need them for various and sundry activities. So, and I think I'm going to be helping Keith too. So
thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Bonnie. Melissa Rathel, if I said that right, or if I didn't, correct me.
Hey, I'm Melissa. It's my first time joining in the meeting. My mother-in-law, she attends these meetings, so I've been interested in joining as well.
Great, thank you for joining us. And here's Carrie's better half, Rita Kimmel.
Unmute. I think you said it all, Keith.
I'm not going to take. I'm not going to take offense, but I will get even.
And in the parade,
I am right now going through government track. I'm trying to get the vote on today's bill honoring our pact, which was the burn pit bill that the president spoke about that would
comprehensive health coverage for our veterans. I compared it to Agent Orange, which took 40 years before our government recognized the damage it did to our veterans. 37 Republicans joined the Democrats. So I know darn well that Ralph Norman was again, nay Norman, but I want to verify that.
And we have someone in this meeting to who probably does know the answer to that. Okay, thank you, Rita. Tom Langston. Okay, we'll take your veterans report a little later. And Chris, you're next.
I'm Chris Bundrick. I sit in on the Environmental Caucus and teach at USCL.
Thank you, Chris. And his charming significant other, Susan Pennell.
Are you really talking about me, Keith? But anyway, hi, everybody. Suzanne Peniel, and it's great to see everyone, and especially to have a mother and daughter-in-law here tonight. I think that's an absolute first, and it's wonderful.
Judy Langston, how are you doing?
Hi, I do the newsletter and Twitter. That's
She
it.
does a heck of a newsletter. And I promise I'm going to Twitter some more in the future.
Okay, that's good.
Jenna, one of our newer members.
Hi. Yeah, that was my daughter-in-law, Melissa, and she's wonderful. She's a social worker, and I'm glad to have her with us. And hi, Mandy. It's good to have you join us tonight, too. I think I've only been with this group maybe 6 or 7 months now. Maybe not even that long, but I'm enjoying it a lot. So it's good to see everybody tonight.
Yeah, thank you. And she's helped out with the nominating committee. Okay, we're almost to the end here. We're on the bottom row. Rosalind Santini, welcome. Let's see, maybe I can do it. Nope, still muted.
Okay, can you hear me
There
now?
you go. Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm a new member. I've just been to a few meetings and I'm learning as I go. Glad to meet everybody.
Okay, thanks for joining us. Kevin Eckert.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm actually not from Lancaster County. I live in Sumter County, but I wanted to hop on and say hi. And also, I'm running for Congress in the 5th District against Ralph Norman. So I'm real excited about that. And, you know,
so are we.
I think by the end of the month, I feel like an honorary member of the Lancaster Democrats for how many events I'm going to be doing here in the next couple of weeks. But thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll see you next week. Lee, how are you doing?
Hi, everyone. How are you? I'm Lee Gillis. My husband is not here tonight. He's not feeling well, Ken Gillis. I support the membership and volunteer team and all the activities around that. Work very closely with Bonnie Peterson when we do some phone calls and all that good stuff. Just want to say hello, and Mandy, it's so good to see you. Welcome. That's it for me.
Okay,
oh, and I host Them Good Times. So Kevin, we're looking forward to seeing you at our in-person Dem Good Time. And of course, anyone else, please come join us March 23rd, I think it is. You'll see the flyers and the promotion on that, but we're going to be in person at Town Tavern the 4th Wednesday of the month. So we're excited about that.
The nice thing is knowing all of us are vaxxed and boosted.
Yes.
Thank you, Lee. And Verda. You almost got this in alphabetical order.
Hi, Mandy, Keith, and
Hello to everyone. I'm Verda Looper. I'm the second VP for the party and the first VP for the Democratic Women's Council of Lancaster.
Thank you very much. Okay, we haven't usually done this sort of thing, but I figured, okay, my last meeting out, nobody's gonna be able to beat me up after this. So just wanted to get everyone introduced to everyone else. All right, we will now start with our featured speaker, Mandy Norrell. Mandy Power.
Thank you so much. I love that there are so many people here, and I'm so thankful for the technology of Zoom that lets us come together, and hoping that we can physically all come together again really soon after, once we're all comfortable that this virus and the worst of it is behind us. I am happy to speak to you tonight about Democratic women, and especially Democratic women in South Carolina. And so when Keith asked me to do this, I thought this is really exciting, because so often I'm speaking to groups about pending legislation that is either bad and likely to pass, or good and very unlikely to pass. And that can get kind of depressing. So the topics that I have for you tonight are exciting and hopeful. And I'm going to talk to you about 5 Democratic women in South Carolina who have really inspired me. 4 that I know and 1 that I don't know because she died before I was born. But I hope that you find it as interesting as I do. We've just passed the 100th anniversary of women having the right to vote. And that's a little crazy because, a lot of us are over 50 years old. So, we're over halfway through that period of time. If just 100 years has not been that long ago. And one of the interesting things that I found when I was doing this research is in 1884, a woman named Belva Lockwood ran for president. Now, the laws preventing women from voting were silent on the issue of women running for office. The fact that no women could ever run for political office was so ingrained in the American psyche that they did not even think to pass a law to prevent it. They were going to stop us from voting, but they didn't think we would ever dare run for office. And so in 1924, after Belva Lockwood did that, a woman named Lena Springs chaired the Credentials Committee at the DNC and received several votes for the vice presidential nomination. Now, that name might be a little familiar to you. Lena Springs was the first woman placed in nomination for Vice President of the United States at a political convention. She was nominated at the 1924 Democratic Convention. Later in life, she became chair of the English department at Queens College in Charlotte. And she was the second wife of Colonel Leroy Springs of Lancaster, whom she married in 1913. So I found an article that referenced this nomination of our own Lancaster County Lena Springs for Vice President of the United States, and it was entitled, "What Would a Woman Do as Vice President?" That was a darn good question, poised as a headline in the Long Beach Telegram magazine of August 10th, 1924. According to the magazine's article, when Springs' nomination was announced, quote, "Men and women began rising hither and yon in the convention hall with anxious looks upon their faces and one anxious query on their lips. What," they demanded, "will become of the country if a woman gets into the vice presidential chair?" "She would," said one gentleman, "declare every day to be Mother's Day." Another predicted, presumably amid gales of laughter and cigar smoke, that a woman would appoint the head of the Thursday Mahjong Club as Secretary of War. When the reporter was able to meet with Lena Springs in her hotel room, he said, quote, "Mrs. Springs came smiling into the room like a breath of April into a stoke hole." And about her qualifications, they were enough to elicit a written wolf whistle from your correspondent. Quote, "She is surely enough beauty." I'll share a picture of her soon. dark hair drawn simply and gracefully back from a beautifully molded forehead, clear blue eyes, a tall, slim figure, and a complexion which Helen of Troy might envy. Springs knew her chances for getting the vice presidential nod were slim, as were her as her well-documented figure. Although I shall not fill the office, I firmly believe this is the first step toward placing women in high office, she said. The day is not very far off when a woman will be president of the United States. Her husband, Colonel Leroy Springs, a wealthy mill owner, scowled. Quote, "That's the day I leave for some other country," he said. Lena ignored her husband's numerous blundering and which she termed discouraging. "As you know," she said, "many men feel that same way. It would just about kill them to have a woman as president. Yet a woman wouldn't make any more of a muddle of the job than a lot of the men have done." She glanced over at Leroy Springs and said, "Would they, dear?" Her husband, who the reporter described merely as gray-headed and ruddy-faced, had to agree, and yet he couldn't let the moment pass. He said, "But my dear, I refuse to be known as the husband of the President of the United States. You will have to choose between the presidency and me." And I think I know what she would have chosen. I've heard a lot about Colonel Springs, and I think I would I would have chosen a lot over him. I think those early, if he's the one I'm thinking about. Now, there was one who was great and one who wasn't, but I think Leroy is the one I'm thinking about. Those early women who paved the way for our country in an environment that judged the female mind as ill-equipped to understand matters of government, we owe them so much. You know, and the times in which they were working and plowing ahead for us, it was believed that women were made to just sort of be attuned to art and nature and not logic. Even Clarence Darrow, who was known as a fighter for lost causes, saw the cause of women to be even too unwinnable for him. And he was known for winning a lot of arguments. He spoke to a group of women lawyers and took a very paternal tone and said these words: "You cannot be shining lights in the legal profession because you are too kind. You can't be corporate lawyers because you are not cold-blooded. You don't have a high degree of intellect, and I really doubt you could make a living." Well, since then, women have proven time and again that we can be shrewd negotiators. We can balance quality of life and the demands of business. Our minds contain a high degree of intellect, and we can be well-grounded in logic, and we can most definitely make a living. So now, rather than having to fight for the basic right to vote or to hold a job, or to be elected to office, we're fighting the battles of equal pay. We are explaining the nuances of rape culture. We're helping our counterparts understand the concept of mansplaining and why it's bad. And in our state legislatures, we're introducing bills that show the importance of having a well-rounded government with male and female perspectives. We're introducing bills that prevent child sexual abuse, bills that recognize it and target sex trafficking and recognize that Johns are more culpable than prostitutes, bills that require insurance companies to pay for breast reconstruction after mastectomy, rather than characterize it as an elective cosmetic surgery. And in that vein, I'd like to tell you about some women in South Carolina politics that I've known personally who have had a tremendous impact on my life. And I want to start with, I had Liz Patterson up here at first, but I'm going to start with Inez Tenenbaum. Now, a lot of you probably know Shakur Francis, who was a minister in Lancaster for several years recently, and he's dating a Lancaster girl now who I introduced him to, and I'm a terrible matchmaker, so I didn't tell them that for a while, but they seem to be doing really well. Shakur has moved on to Columbia because he's in the Methodist Church and they move their ministers around. But Shakur, when he was 11 years old, he was adopted by Inez Tenenbaum. He met her at a political event and had been studying her past races. and gave her some political advice. And she was so taken by him, and he needed a family. And she and Samuel adopted Shakur into their family. And Shakur is now a minister in a church in Columbia and looking at law school, and one of my dear friends. And he means the world to me. So Inez was a, I don't have my information about Inez here, but I'm going to tell you about her and look it up so that I don't really screw it up as I tell you. But Inez she's a lawyer. She was South Carolina Superintendent of Education for many, many years. She was not our last democratically elected Democrat Superintendent of Education, but I think the second to last. And she served a long while in that role, and she did a wonderful job. Then she ran for U.S. Senate against Jim DeMint, and she put up quite a fight in that race. And that's when that Senate seat actually moved Republican. But during that campaign, she met President Obama, then to become President Obama, and he later appointed her as the head of the Consumer Product Safety Commission. She was born in Georgia, and she received her Juris Doctor degree at the University of South Carolina School of Law, which is my alma mater. And she has been working at several top law firms in South Carolina since she ended her service in elected office. Inez is a very special lady who has done a lot to set standards for our students. You know, when she was our Secretary of Education in South Carolina, our schools were, doing a whole lot better than they have been since the Republicans took over that role. And by the way, that is a position that I am quite worried about in the coming election. So not to be a downer, but keep an eye on that position, because we have some very right-wing people who would seek to bring public education to its knees, were they elected. And so that's one that I think is it's one of the scariest elections coming up. The next lady I want to tell you about is one of my favorite people ever in politics, and her name is Liz Patterson. When Mitch and I were dating, it was like one of our first dates, and he opened up his trunk to get something out, and he had tons of Liz Patterson signs in the back of his car that he was putting out by the road. And I was just thought, this is gonna be my husband. He's out there politicking for Liz Patterson. Liz Patterson was the daughter of a former governor of South Carolina, Olin Johnson. And she was born in 1939, and he was governor the year that she was born. And he lost his election that November, but then he came back and served from 1943 to 1945 again. And then he moved on to the United States Senate. And so I got slides of all of these ladies. I'm going to show them to you at the end. And so that's, but Liz was, so she grew up in politics. She grew up, much of her life was in Washington, D.C., because her father was a U.S. Senator. But she returned to South Carolina for college. And she graduated from Columbia College and did graduate work at the University of South Carolina. And she, in her early career, before she got married, she worked for the Peace Corps, because that is so Liz Patterson, and the Office of Economic Opportunity during the administration of President Lyndon B. Johnson. And then she worked as the director of the Head Start program in South Carolina. When she moved home to Spartanburg, she was elected to county council in 1975. And then she was elected to the South Carolina State Senate, where she served until 1986. She was only the second woman in the South Carolina Senate ever to be elected to Senate after Mary Gordon Ellis. In '86, she got elected to the U.S. House of Representatives for South Carolina's 4th Congressional District, succeeding Carol Campbell, who gave up that seat to run for governor. And she defeated, so she replaced a Republican and defeated another Republican in that race. Liz, during that time, adopted a child. She had a son and a daughter already, and then she adopted another son. And he is a delightful person. I've met him, and he told the story at her funeral about when she had a group come to visit her in the Senate, and she always took time with groups from South Carolina in her district in Congress. And he said he had sort of made his way up to the speaker's dais and had gotten into the swivel chair that the Speaker of the House sits in. And he was just spinning and spinning as Liz was talking to the group. And she took everything in stride and she was a wonderful mother, a wonderful wife, a wonderful lady, and just a wonderful friend. When we were running for governor and lieutenant governor in 2018, Liz was so instrumental in our campaign. She was dying of cancer, and she was she would have to, before our events, she would always come to our events, but she would sleep like the entire day the day before so that she would have the energy to make it to the event. And the family told me at her funeral that she voted early because she thought she might pass before election day. But she willed herself to live until election day to see if we won, because she was so sure that we would win. And it meant a lot to me because Liz had run for lieutenant governor, and she had run unsuccessfully in 1984. And she loved that I was running for the same office that she had run for as well. We had election day on November 7th. We came 8 points shy, and Liz died 3 days later. And that was 8 days shy of her 79th birthday. She was one of the sweetest people I've ever known in my life. And so that is Liz Patterson, and I hope that her memory lives on forever in South Carolina politics. Her family has established a scholarship fund with Emerge South Carolina to help fund that group to train female Democratic candidates to run for office in South Carolina. And so the next person I want to tell you about is the woman that I call my mom in the house, Gilda Cobb Hunter. Gilda Cobb Hunter is the longest serving representative in the South Carolina House of Representatives. So she has the tag that says #1 on it. You get your tags based on your seniority in the House. And so my last tag, I think, was like number 65 out of 124, and her tag is a 1. And so we're all very proud that a Democrat and a woman has the #1 tag. Gilda Cobb Hunter is a Democratic member of the South Carolina House of Representatives. She represents District 66 in Orangeburg County, and she is the first African-American woman to have been elected to the State House from Orangeburg County. Gilda is actually from Florida, where she got her undergraduate degree at Florida A&M and her MA from Florida State. I don't know which one of those is like a snake, but she's always doing like that. So she's so proud of her schools. Gilda was a teacher at Bellevue Middle School in 1978 and also worked as an instructor at SC State University. But we know her in her private business world as a caseworker for the Department of Social Services and a director of a rape crisis center. She's a social worker. And that is such a great qualification to be a member of the South Carolina House of Representatives, because she has the empathy that you need. She has, and she, having been a teacher, is able to explain difficult concepts in a way that everybody can understand them, and nobody can claim that they didn't understand what they were voting on. And when they vote the wrong way, Gilda at least makes them feel bad about it. And they really do. They will vote the wrong way after Gilda explains a bill to them and why it's important, such as Medicaid expansion. And then they'll come over to us and they'll say, I want you to know I'm a good person. I really am. And so, but Gilda she'll at least make them feel ashamed if they're going to do the wrong thing. Gilda has been so instrumental in so many very important things in South Carolina. She stopped a lot of bad bills from happening. She was instrumental in taking the Confederate flag off the dome. I remember that when I was in law school, and the compromise was that they moved it to the grounds, and then and she fought forever after that to get it off the grounds. And I was with Gilda the day that we voted to just remove it from the grounds of the State House, and that was quite a day. We went to lunch together, and she just kept saying, I can't believe it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. They're going to do something, and it's not going to happen. And I happened to sit over there with the Republicans, and I could hear everything they were saying. And they would say, we're just going to leave the flagpole up, and then we'll put the flag back up next year. We'll just run a South Carolina flag up on the flagpole, and then next year, after all this stuff dies down, we'll put the Confederate flag back on it. And they thought that I couldn't hear them or something, so I just go over and tell Gilda what they said, and we made sure the flagpole came down. So on the day that the flag came down, I stayed all day after all the crowds had left, and I waited to watch them, watch that big boom truck take that flagpole and knock it all the way down out of the ground. And then I sent Gilda a picture of the flagpole just laying on the ground. And that, to me, it wasn't over until that flagpole was laying on the ground, because we had gone through so much to get it there. She's still there. She's still fighting. And if you get a chance to give Gilda some love and some encouragement, please do, because I know she gets discouraged. This woman, she fights every single battle in the House of Representatives, and she just and she loses many more than she wins, because she is in the micro minority over there. But she stops a lot of bad things from happening, and that is a huge win when you're able to do that. So I'm going to stop for a second before I talk about my last one, and I'm going to go to my the computer that I'm using, because I'm on my phone now, and I'm going to share my screen and put these, wait a second, put my slides up. And hold on a second. Hey, Mitch. Mitch is telling me, hey. Okay, so here's what I'm going to share. Bye, darling. Can y'all see it? Okay, here it is. So this right here is Belva. No, that's not Belva Lockwood. That is Lena Springs. And so she is the woman who ran for vice president, who was the wife of our own Colonel Springs, and who said all of those amazing things about paving the way for women. And I appreciate her so much. She's the one that the reporter was kind of fawning over, and I love that. So, okay, here is Inez Tenenbaum. This is at one of the church, Linwood Baptist Church in Lancaster, or Linwood Methodist Church in Lancaster. This is Shakur Francis, the young man that she adopted, who was preaching at that church. He had two churches for a while in Lancaster, and now he's in Columbia. And me and Mitch, this was a day that Shakur had his parents come and visit him at church, and so it was so good to see Inez that day. And so, and here's another one. It's me and Inez when we did a speaking series together at Presbyterian College. Here's my sweet Liz Patterson, just one of the most darling women. This was at one of our campaign events shortly before she died. and she would just do anything to make it to those campaign events. Gilda, I was showing her something that Mitch had given me for Valentine's Day that I thought was hilarious, and she thought so too. And it was objectively hilarious because he's a funny guy. But Gilda, I want to tell you another story about her. When I was running for when I first spoke. The first time I ever spoke at the Well, I was a freshman, and I was speaking about Medicaid expansion, and I was talking about the need for our governor to accept the funds. And she, when I got done, I was just in my memory. You know how your memory can play a trick on you. In my memory, I was like a little kid, and I just went running to Gilda. And I had her arms stretched out and said, "Come here, baby." And she picked me up and hugged me. But in my memory, I'm like 3 feet tall, and I know none of this happened. But that's just the energy that Gilda gives off. She's so encouraging and so wonderful. And the last person that I am going to tell you about is this lady right here, who I am supporting for governor. And I can make the case up one side and down the other as to why Mia McLeod would make the best governor of South Carolina. I have not been this excited about a candidate in a long time. And Mia served with me in the House. Before that, she served in the before she served with me in the House, she was a prosecutor for the Attorney General's office, and she developed some innovative programs for victims of domestic violence that were replicated in many states throughout our country. And after that, after serving in the House, she moved on to the Senate. So Mia has 2 decades of experience in state government in 2 branches of government, the legislative and the executive branch. She's brilliant, and she's from South Carolina. She's always lived in South Carolina. And I tell people, I'm excited about the notion that we can nominate, that we have a wonderful candidate who also brings diversity to the ticket. And some people have pushed back and said, well, I don't like identity politics. I don't want to vote for somebody, just because of the fact that they bring diversity to the ticket. And my response is, well, how lucky are we that the candidate with all of this experience and all of this brilliance and know-how and background and roots in South Carolina is also the candidate who brings diversity and is, we have a chance to nominate an African-American female when African-American females have been the backbone of our party for so many years. And so if you haven't met Mia yet, I hope you get to meet her one day soon. And I'm gonna, do as much surrogate for her as I can in other parts of the state, and hope that y'all get to meet her in person as quickly as possible, because this lady is so impressive, and I cannot wait to call her my governor. So I am happy to answer any questions y'all have, and stop sharing my screen and go back to full screen mode. Okay.
Okay, we can take questions now. Sorry, I had to unmute myself.
Andrea?
Yes, ma'am. So as a representative of the LGBTQ community, we would like to know when you are running again and what for. We want you. Please reconsider.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. And thank you so much for your service on the LGBTQ caucus. I've got family in the community, and I appreciate that so much. It means so much to have that to know that my child has the support of all of these good people who just, I just feel like there's just a virtual hug every time that I bring her with me to Democratic Party events. So thank you for your service too. I'm not going to run for anything in 22. I feel like I have asked people for help and support and so much for so long, and that it's really time for me to be in the trenches right next to the grassroots supporters. It's where I want to be. It's what I want to do. I want to spend 22 really pushing hard for the candidates that I believe in, and trying to get them elected, and also giving them the support that they need, because as a former candidate, I really feel like there are things that I know candidates need that other people might not know, like the self-care, the mental health needs, the things a campaign can really, really take it out of you. And so that's something that I'm really kind of moved to start trying to focus on for our candidates. And I want to try to develop some sort of way of supporting our candidates in their journey and preserving their own wellness as they go through the process. And that's something I want to focus on in 22. I might come back later, but 22 is going to be my year to work alongside all the good people trying to get others elected. Thank you, though, for believing in me.
Mandy, this is Sheila.
Hey, Sheila. Hey.
It's great to see you, and thank you for such a beautiful presentation.
Thank
and
you.
about all the women, and especially Gilda Cobb Hunter. She is terrific.
So wonderful.
Yes, she's great. But thank you. I really enjoyed it, and I'll be supporting the candidates on the state level. Thank you.
Awesome.
I tried to get her to run. I've been working on her for 2 years. More questions? We're in good shape on time, folks. We'll take care of that little bit of business and pretty much hit the target. So more questions? And I personally, Mandy, thank you so much for representing Lancaster County. It's so ironic. All these years, I've been 3 blocks out of your district, and now we're finally in the same district.
Yep. I mean, it's really kind of crazy. When I served, 44, 40, the representatives 44, 45, and Senate 16 all lived probably within a mile of each other.
Yeah.
And so it's, but now the district is so much bigger because our population has grown so much.
Now I just need to recruit somebody for 44.
Yeah.
Suzanne?
Hi, Mandy. Thank you. I'm wondering if you have any advice for us as a party, as a county party, I mean.
Yeah. It's, that's a good question, because there are, I've visited a lot of county parties, and there are many that are not very organized. Ours is organized. It's, I think that the big thing that I see, not just in our party, but in, parties throughout the state, is when you get too focused on the national stuff, I would say staying focused on the things that you can actually make a change in, because a lot of parties, not just ours, will go in very, very focused on federal issues and things that just, our votes for president matter, but with the Electoral College, they don't, your vote there doesn't really carry near as much weight as your vote on the county council level, or on the state house level, on the congressional level. And so trying very hard to stay focused on the less glamorous things, the things that you don't see on MSNBC and those kinds of things that affect, but things that affect people's lives, so much more in their day-to-day lives, so much more than the national issues.
Mhm.
That's the hard thing. It's just always like, it's like trying to, lead a kitten back to a box. It's like, come on, let's focus on these issues, because it's the things that matter. It's the things that will cause people who might be inclined to call themselves Republicans to say, but wait, that affects my day-to-day life, and I like what this person who says they're a Democrat believes. And it's not something that I would otherwise think of as a partisan issue. When I served, I tried to only tweet about the things that really didn't have a clear partisan bent, and that I tried to focus on legislation that we could all agree on, if people would just take it up. But my biggest battle was with apathy. I couldn't get people to care about taking up issues like sexual assault, where if they took them up, I would hope that we would all be on the same side. But it's those kinds of things that I think that we have the potential to make the greatest headway on. And if we can focus on the less divisive and more local issues, I think we have the greater potential to bring people in and have them see things our way.
I think Kevin
I hope
had a
that's
question,
helpful.
didn't he?
Hey, Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah, so speaking of divisive issues, what have you heard about the CRT bills going through the State House right now?
All the bad stuff is going to pass. That's what I'm hearing. Just all the bad stuff. The CRT, the abortion, the every bad bill you have heard of is likely to pass. So it's very frustrating. I think that ultimately we'll end up having to make our headway in the court systems, rather than in the legislature, because they don't have the ability to stop these things in the Senate the way that they used to. And now some of the horrible bills are originating in the Senate. So, even like today, was a Senate subcommittee meeting, and there was a Democrat and a sympathetic Republican on an abortion issue, and they threatened to walk out if they took up the abortion bill. And then they wouldn't have a quorum, but there would be nobody there to point out the fact that they didn't have a quorum, so they would just go forward, but it would be an illegitimate vote. So they almost didn't go forward. I think they ultimately did go forward, or they said they were going to aggressively take it up at the full Senate. But we don't have the numbers after the 2020 red storm to stop the really awful legislation from going forward. Y'all might know a bill just passed that would make the Lancaster, it only applies to Lancaster County, the Lancaster County school board seats partisan. So you'd have to run as a Democrat or Republican. And that would, bye baby, my little girl's going away for the weekend. She's 20, but she's my little girl. And so, but it would make our school board seats partisan, and that would ultimately mean that the majority is decided in the Republican primary, and our school board would be just an absolute nightmare. It got through the House. We got it stopped, and I say we because I was actively working on this with the caucus, and we got it stopped originally, and then leadership leaned on some Republicans who had voted with the Democrats, and they brought it back up. It got through the Senate, and now it's on Henry McMaster's desk. Hopefully he will veto it. He has always vetoed local legislation that only applied to one county. Hopefully he vetoes this, but he's getting a lot of pressure from Republicans to sign the bill. So that's probably like the biggest thing that affects us. Yes, let's email him tonight. Yes, if you can email him, call his office, ask him to please be consistent with all of his other vetoes of local legislation and to veto the Lancaster County School District bill. That's because if he does not veto it, and if it passes, then it will our school board will be an absolute right-wing mess for many years to come. And so that's one of the awful bills that has recently passed that I we still have a chance to maybe turn it around. So
May I interject that there is another option? We elect a bunch of Democrats to the school board.
true,
We
true,
need
but
people standing
I
up.
mean, practically and realistically, with the way that things are in these districts, the way that they've been gerrymandered, because the school board districts mirror the county council districts, and they have gerrymandered those in such a way as to almost ensure a 6-1 Republican majority. So if the school board ones are decided in the primaries, then we're going to have some very strong extremists, because only 23% of our voters vote in the primaries, and they're the people on the at the most extreme ends.
Okay. Do we have any other questions for Mandy? This has been a great session.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up question, if that's all right.
Yes, go ahead.
So I guess, like, how do you think Democrats should fight back against sort of these things? Like, I know like CRT is like the main issue, like the big right-wing issue right now. And you know, if you listen to a lot of the testimony for some of the bills, you realize that like it's not based on any sort of reality, and it's just like it's what they imagine.
Right.
So what do we do about that?
It's so frustrating because, you know, you want the person you're arguing with to at least accept that we're living in the same world, in the same sphere of reality, and they live in a completely different reality than the rest of us are living in. And so it's like Twain said, don't argue with an idiot, because they'll drag you to their level and beat you with experience. So I don't know how to engage with people who live in a different reality. And it seems like so many people do. That has been every morning when I look at Twitter, I'm just thinking, what in the world? I can't like convince these people of anything different. But we can't give up either. So we just have to keep churning until we find something that sticks with these people. When I was in the House, I found some buzzwords that would cause my Republican colleagues to at least look up and pay attention when I was speaking. Like if I said liberty or freedom or something, I would just like throw those words in just to get them to listen. Yeah. And you know, in the middle of things, you might say, this is for the children, or this is for our freedoms, or anything like that. When I introduced the bill that was the non-discrimination against LGBTQ people in the workplace, I called it the Workplace Freedom Act. And so at least that got some Republicans to be like, oh, well, I'm for that, and not paying attention to what it did. And so it's, you know, sometimes you just got to trick them with their own words because they're not that smart. And so maybe just put in some time, like keep a list of words. I mean, that's all I can think of, because it's a whole other reality that they're living in.
I try to invoke the founding fathers once in a while.
Yes, do that. Federalist Papers.
Waive a constitution.
Get them in there. Yeah.
Which they've never read.
Keep a pocket constitution. It'll blow their minds.
All right, folks. Katie.
Sorry, I'm going to keep this going a little longer, I know, but I have a strategy question for you, Mandy. And before my question, let me just say thank you, because
thank you, Katie.
So many times I feel like we look at the news or legislation or anything, and it's just so discouraging. And you've been just a beacon of hope tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So my strategy question, when we are facing empty slots on the ballot, like there's no Democrat running, or situations like that, like if the school board stays nonpartisan, here's another example. If the school board stays nonpartisan, in District 1, we've got Melvin Strobel, who is from what I understand, a Republican, but somewhat moderate on the school board issues. Someone else is running, she just announced, and I don't remember her name, but she is very, very right-wing, anti-CRT, all of that. So, and I had thought personally about running for school board. I'm a former teacher. I just feel like it would make
Mhm.
sense. But then I thought, if I run, we might split the vote between me and Melvin, and
Mhm.
then put
Mhm.
this other lady into office, and that would be
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
So in situations like that, when there's not a Democrat on the ticket, but then we've got a choice between like a bad choice and a worse choice, what do we
Yes.
do? I asked my husband, and he said, well, you
Yeah.
can't just let them beat you down and not run.
But
But
there's a practical consideration.
right.
And that is something that our party has been facing for a really long time. Like right now, we have on the state level, there's nobody running on the Democratic side for state superintendent of education, but there is a wonderful candidate who I think of as a Democrat who is running on the Republican side because she doesn't feel like she could get elected otherwise. And she's running because the other announced candidates are such right-wing, anti-CRT, voucher pushers, anti-mask people that she feels like she's got to do it. And so she's like, I'm going to run as a Republican. And I'm like, but that's her only hope of winning. And given the realities of what she's up against. And her name is Kathy Maness. But to vote for Kathy, you'd have to vote in the Republican primary, and we have a primary as Democrats. So, I'm scared to death that she's going to lose her primary, and I bet that she will, because the primary brings out the extremes of the party. And so the Republican extremes are not going to want a moderate. And so that's the concern. And then if you have two reasonable people, I put on Twitter today that when I want to pay a compliment to somebody on, a Republican, and then I tell them privately that I don't think they're crazy, because if I tell them publicly that I don't think they're crazy, it hurts them with their base. So, and I tell them that I'm like, I'm just going to whisper to you that I don't think you're crazy, just so you know, but I don't want your base to hear me say that, because it'll hurt you. Because they want the craziest people they can get. And so it is a very practical consideration. And I'll tell you, for the upcoming governor's race, one of my biggest worries was that John Warren would run against Henry McMaster. And I had so many Democrats say, well, don't worry about what they do. That's their primary. But if John Warren beat Henry McMaster and then he was favored in the general, that would be so much scarier than what we have now. And a lot of people say, well, what we have now is terrible. And it is. But John Warren is so much worse. And every time we think it can't get worse, there are people like that to show us that it can. So he's not running against McMaster. So at least we have that reprieve for a while. But remember that name, because that is a strong right winger who is feared within his own party as being too extreme. So these are the kinds of things that I think we can't afford not to care about. And, it's something that we shouldn't have to. Our parties should be equal, and people should evaluate candidates based on their own merits. But I think that that we kind of have to keep one eye on what's going on over there, because it can be pretty scary. And to the extent that we can, have any kind of influence on it, talk to our Republican friends who are going to vote in those primaries anyway, and try to get them to go with the reasonable candidate. It's worth paying attention to and evaluating that.
Mandy, would you consider coming back every couple months? Well, this may be not my place because Katie's going to take over, but this kind of discussion is extremely important.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you all. Mandy, great presentation on the women.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, the research, and definitely the questions and answers. This has been one of our best sessions, and I'm looking forward to getting this up on our website so people can see that, those darn Democrats, they actually have thinking people involved.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll move on with a little bit of business that we've got left. Shouldn't take us too long. Right. The minutes, Karen. I mean, there's not much to do. We got the link in there on the agenda. Karen, go ahead.
Yes, I would invite your perusal of those minutes and offer any corrections or additions. I don't particularly have anything to highlight, but you have them before you perhaps.
Okay, thank you. Could I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented, subject to amendment, because we did get some of this stuff out awfully late to y'all.
Motion to accept the minutes?
Thank you, Katie. Second.
Second.
I saw a hand. Carrie, yep. Okay, Carrie seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Same sign. Seeing no opposition, motion passed. Okay. Nora, I take it you are taking the treasurer's report tonight.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I saw that too. I believe that might be a slight mistake.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, Nora and I've gone over what I do, which isn't a whole lot, but nevertheless, I'll give you the treasurer's report.
All
We
right.
st-
That's
we
fine.
started off February with $3,521.10. We had deposits of $1,713.43. Our debits were $17.96 for phone and $6.48 for Squarespace. Ending balance was $5,210.09. Now, the majority of that deposit, and I think we would probably still have another check or two, but the majority of that deposit was for the reading program. And I will bring your check. I can bring it tomorrow to Keith, or I can drop it off Monday. But right now we've collected $1,424.65 for the reading program.
That's 28 students.
Yes. So we did very
Plus-
well there.
Plus Carrie.
Yeah, plus
Take
credit.
credit, Carrie. Come
I
on.
just don't trust Bill to handle my money, so.
Well, that's why I'm giving it to Nora. But anyway, I'll have a check to you. Whatever day is good for you, I'll bring you a check and you can say you want to drop it off. Tomorrow,
Okay.
good day.
That sounds good. Do I have a motion? Any questions on the treasurer's report?
How much did you say for the reading program?
$1,424.65.
It gets a little weird because Act Blue takes some money out. Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Sheila.
Thank you, Sheila. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Alan. Treasurer's report has been accepted. I always forget whether these things, once they get accepted, whether we even need a vote. I'll let Katie sort this out. All right, LCDP Executive Committee, which is Carrie. And
Yeah, well, there's not a hell of a lot to talk about. However, I'd like to talk about one of the activities I got involved with because I opened my big mouth and complained to Trav and to Jay. I've always believed that the caucuses represent a resource which the party is not properly using. And I picked on him for quite a while on that. And
He's
this,
been hearing that from me too.
yeah, well, they picked on me. This summer, on the executive committee, which I missed because I was on vacation, they decided to create something called the Committee on Organization, Operations, and Bylaws. And
Whoops.
that was fine. This committee has been able to look at most of the 16 caucuses which exist in the SCDP. And I've been working with a couple of them, Senior Caucus, which I'm a member of, I qualify, and the Rural Caucus, and kind of sideways with the Education Caucus. And one of the things I've noticed is that, one, excellent ideas. People understand their problems. And two, they don't seem to be able to communicate with the party properly. And so while we have completed the bylaw activity, pretty much, I think the next thing we have to work on is figuring out a way to have the caucuses present their issues to the party. And that's it. Now, we used to have strategy conferences, and of course that has gone away. And so that would be the area that I think we would work on to establish that. Reestablish the strategy.
You mean like the SPRAT issues conference?
Pretty much. We used to have one. I went to one of them, which was in Greenville.
Mm-hmm.
And there were about 300 people there from all the counties. And so that was a very effective way of communicating. At the time, I was really making a presentation on strategy for the Senior Caucus, and was able to come in and listen to about half a dozen others. So that is one of my objectives this year, is to figure out a way of getting the grassroots information developed by the caucusi, anyway. I'm not too sure how you say that in plural, into the strategy development and resolutions activity of the party.
Carrie, have you talked to Dr. Thompson about this?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, that's what I was
Yeah.
going to suggest, because he deals with the caucuses the most.
Well, actually, there is yes, he deals with the caucuses in one level, but if the caucuses want to make any changes in terms of their operations or bylaws, they have to deal with us. So, got it? So yeah, Dr. Thompson is a valuable asset, and he does very good work. However, in terms of the actual organization and structure, the committee, the COOP, Committee on Organization, Operations, and Bylaws, sounds terrible, has the authority on that. And we've worked that out with Trav. So, two things as a result. One, I've told you what I'm doing. And two, I again encourage every Democrat to join a caucus. I don't care how many people are in a caucus, you are entitled to be part of it. As I said, there are 16 of them, including the Young Democrats, which somebody like me cannot join. But they cover everything from the LGBT to environment, to seniors, to Black Caucus, on and on and on. As I said, I'm working with the Rural Caucus and Senior Caucus. Rural Caucus, as a city boy, is fascinating to me. And,
I'll bet.
Yeah, but the same problems occur. There's no difference really between some of the issues I've heard with the Senior Caucus and with the Education Caucus and with the Rural Caucus. So getting these into the hands of our legislature, I think, is extremely important. That's what's going on.
Thank you, Kerry. Chris had to bail, but he left me a report in the chat. So I'm going to read that real quick and then we'll pick up any other reports. Okay. On 22nd of February, a representative from the Dogwood Alliance met with the LCDP Environmental Caucus and reported on their efforts to rein in biomass plants in North Carolina. Sideline here. Biomass plants are those that use organic material to generate energy. Okay, see the recording of the meeting here. Well, he's going to send me a document. We'll post this where people can get to it. The caucus formed a subcommittee to draft a resolution to stop the production of wood pellets and the destruction of our forests. Committee members are Louise Chadwick, Chair, Pamela Greenlaw, Cheryl Washington, Steve Gilbert, and Tyran Hansen. Now, I know a bit about this. The problem with using biomass from timber is you're releasing the carbon back into the environment, into the atmosphere. So this is not a green solution to generating energy at all. You've removed trees that turn carbon dioxide into oxygen, and you've turned them back into carbon dioxide and other waste and particulate matter. So I understand, you know, where they're coming from on that concern, and we will get more information out there as we go along.
Keith, I have an opposite opinion on this.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
the major company
between you and me, I mean, so
let me explain, because
go ahead. I'm sorry.
The major company on this is called Envira. They have 6 plants and 2 shipping ports in the South. They do not cut down trees. They are using the waste of sawmills, number one. Number two,
yeah, that's good.
Number two, those pellets are shipped to Europe and Japan and replace oil and coal. It turns out that both.
Oh,
yeah,
that makes a huge difference. Thank you.
Yeah, that's. By the way, Envira won the Sustainability Environment Award granted by, I think, the UN this year. So the amount of carbon they are taking out of the atmosphere is
it would have been there anyway.
Significant. Exactly. So you know, you gotta follow these things across. They are, by the way, they just converted from a master limited partnership to a corporation, and their stock has gone straight up.
I'll have to check it out.
So please, yeah, please do. So anyway, they are a very environmentally friendly company because they're using waste and they're replacing oil and coal.
I've got to weigh in on this too. It's even more complicated than that. And of course, Ukraine is changing that dynamic as we speak, but it's not so good environmentally for the people who live close to where the operations are. They're complaining a lot about dust and noise. There are a lot of factors. I don't think of it as primarily a carbon issue, but it's not working so well. And it's often an issue of environmental justice dealing with race. These are a lot of rural Black North Carolinians who don't feel like they're benefiting from these companies at all, while the EU is, though of course they need it now.
Excellent point. Yeah.
And I would like to put something else on y'all's radar, pyrolysis. This is something that they've been trying to make inroads into state legislatures for a few years now. It kind of got stopped with COVID because they were sponsoring a lot of national conferences and giving people their draft bills. This was the American Chemistry Council. They sell this. Pyrolysis is the gasification of plastics by superheating them with chemicals. They say, well, this is how we're going to keep plastics out of the landfill. But when you superheat them with chemicals in order to turn them into gas, the environmental community says, yeah, we'd really rather have those plastics in the landfill, even though that's not an ideal solution than to have them just gasified into the air. And it is terrible. And so what they're doing is they can do this now, but what they have asked state legislatures to do is to not regulate them as a post-consumer waste facility. So to not make them jump through all the hoops that a recycling facility would have to go through, or a dump or something like that, even though these are post-consumer, this is post-consumer waste. So they've asked to be exempt from all of the regulations. And I believe South Carolina has passed pyrolysis, and at least in the House, and it's gone to the Senate. Georgia has passed it, Tennessee has passed it, and they pat themselves on the back. I have been fighting pyrolysis since 2018, but they always pat themselves on the back and say, look what we did for the environment. We kept bottles out of the landfill. And so just keep that in your head as you hear about the keeping bottles out of the landfill, keeping plastic out of the landfill, and ask, is this pyrolysis? And then just kind of spread the word and help educate people that this is the gasification of plastics by superheating them with chemicals, and it's not an environmentally friendly procedure. But the American Chemistry Council is all for it, and they'll tell you it's environmentally friendly.
Thank you. That was one that slipped completely under my radar. Yeah, we got a lot of
It was even under the radar of the Sierra Club until we brought it to their attention a few years ago. It's one that the American Chemistry Council has really done a good job at keeping people unaware.
Sounds like tobacco and big pharma. Okay, we are running up close on time. We're going to juggle the order just a little bit in case some people have to bail at 8:30, which has been our target time. I want to jump ahead to the 5-minute action. Katie, would you talk about that? And I have these up on my screen that I can share to show people while you talk.
We need everybody to sign up for the precinct reorg and the convention. They're going to be on the same day on March 12th. We're going to start with the precinct reorg at 9:30. And when we're done with that, hopefully around 10:45, after a little break, we'll move on to the convention. And then at 1 p.m., we're going to invite all of our candidates to speak or play a recorded video if they can't make it at 1 o'clock. But we'll hear from all of our candidates. So the first thing we need from everyone is to sign up on this Google form. And this was given us by the state party. So I put it in the chat. All you got to do is click on that Google form. And then I'm actually going to do this right now too, because I haven't done it yet either. And then you've got to fill in a couple of questions, and that's it. So go ahead and click on that. Let's all do it right now to make sure that we do it.
Where did I do this? I think this is it. I hope this will be the right. I got the right one.
Perfect. That's exactly what it should look like. And if you want any help finding your precinct where you're registered to vote or anything like that, that's why we're taking some time to do this right now. So just let us know.
And really at the precinct level,
say yes, you want to run for something.
Yeah, we've got a waiver on diversity at the precinct level.
Well, I wanted to also show you all that yes, you can run for something at the precinct level, and we actually have a new level of support for you when you become a precinct leader, because all of you will. And I look you in the eyes right now, but I can't, so I'm just looking at the camera. But I wanted to show you this too, that Terry just set up for us this week because he's awesome. We have, oh, that's not the right email. Perfect. I'm going to put one more link in the chat because we have a new page on our website. You can't find it by clicking through the website. You have to have the link, and that's just an extra level of security for us. But if you click on the link that I just put in the chat, it's going to take you here to our new precinct resources page. And all our precinct leaders will send this website out again so that you have it. And you've got a precinct president's guide, but this is for any precinct leader can use this guide. It's very comprehensive. I took it from the Charleston County and then just edited it a little bit. It's great. They did a great job with it. A guide to creating Facebook groups for your precinct if you want to. This is not required, but here's the resource if you want it. And then just some printable resources that you can use so that you have them and you're ready to go. So sign up. You want to be a precinct leader because you've got all the resources that you need, and we're going to be here to help you.
We're
All
getting
right.
a ton of resources from other counties, from the state, from the national. There's training for just about everything now online at your own pace. So we've got a lot more than we had 2 years ago. And there's just no comparison to what there was 4 years ago. And 6 years ago, when I stepped into the job, I didn't have a clue, and there wasn't too many people to help me know what to do. With the help of my friends, we got through that.
Hey, I need a little help. I don't know if I'm Lancaster East or West.
That
Doesn't
link,
say.
that link that is in that form will
It
give you
just
that
says
information.
Lancaster. Doesn't say East or West.
Is it from SC Votes?
Yeah.
Hey, Nora, that's the precinct. You're in Harrisburg.
Oh, Harrisburg. Thank you, Bonnie.
I thought you
Thank
were
you, Bonnie.
north, way north out of the city, Nora.
You have to
Where's
keep
Harris?
scrolling. They're not in alphabetical order.
Oh,
So,
the
'cause I-
precinct. I got. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
it took
you.
me a while to find it too. It's.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, now I understand. All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Now,
Awesome.
You
Thanks
said
for raising the question, Nora.
Is that
This is
Gina that
obvious.
I heard?
you said check what? We would like to be a precinct. Would you
You-
like to run for one of the a position in your precinct?
You're looking at this question, right? Would you like to run for one of the following positions in your precinct?
Let me switch back. I'm looking at the form and then, yeah. Is that what you said to check?
Yes, because I think everybody on this meeting will do a great job working in their precinct.
Oh,
And you can choose more than one if you're interested in more than one.
Yes,
well, what does that
definitely.
entail?
So precincts are our smallest unit of organization. So your precinct is named after where you vote. Like I go vote at the Osceola Church, and so my precinct is called Osceola. And precincts are just the neighborhoods just in your area. It's basically your neighborhood. So precinct leaders are in charge of organizing their precinct and getting out the vote in their precinct. So you might make phone calls or do canvassing or whatever you are able to do. It's not you're signed up to do this and you have to do A, B, and C. We're going to give you resources and then you're going to do what you can when you can. And the idea is to get a team in your precinct so that you're not doing everything.
I don't mind volunteering, but I am handicapped, so I can't go door to door necessarily.
And that's okay, because not everybody can go door to door, but not everybody likes phone calls either, right? So you don't have to do all
Definitely.
of it. This is just offering to say, hey, I'll help do something. And then the executive committee person, they're the person that comes to our executive board meetings and has a vote in what our county does.
In the county. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I got you. All right. Thanks.
So we're not gonna like bust down your door and say, why aren't you doing this? This is a purely volunteer position to do whatever you would like to do whenever you can do it.
Okay.
The volunteer designs their job.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing. And any little bit a person can do helps us and the rest of the community, obviously, because the Democrats are focused on helping our community, not the corporations.
Mm-hmm.
Katie, I I didn't join late. I heard everything on the phone. Are you sending out the Google form, the link to the Google form to everybody? in a
Yes, we
separate
will.
mail?
Yes, we are going to send that out in an email and hopefully on some postcards too, but I don't know that, I don't think everybody's going to get the postcard in the mail. I think that's very targeted.
That's very targeted, but we'll call and we're going to email.
Yeah, we will send it out in an email. And then the very last thing is just to sign up on Mobilize so that you have the Zoom link. And I just put that in the chat too.
And that is also in the agenda that was sent out.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get it in another email from us within the next couple of days. We would really love to have a big turnout on this. I mean, we're going to have a lot of technical support from the state party. So we here won't be bogged down in the technical stuff. We can just do the business as close to as what our previous in-person conventions were in 2016 and 2018.
Any more questions or anything else we can help you with?
Do you want to say something quick about the new Young Dems? Or
Yes.
But go ahead.
This is going to be super quick, but I made a Facebook page so that we can get our Young Democrats organized, and I'm putting that link in the chat. And I've also shared this in our Facebook group. So please send this to anyone you know who is a Democrat in York, Lancaster, or Kershaw counties. We're going to make a chapter all together. And tell them to like our Facebook page so that we can get up and get going. We have to have at least 5 people for our first meeting to have a chapter. And we don't have 5 people yet. So we're working on it.
Do you have any contacts in Chester yet?
Chester has their own chapter already.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. That's cool. Great.
Yep.
We certainly don't
Katie,
need to. How about
what is considered young?
Oh, sorry. 14 to 40.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. So send this to all of the Democrats you know, 14 to 40 in York, Lancaster, and Kershaw counties. And hopefully we can start our first meeting and get officially organized in April is what I'm hoping.
I have one more question.
Sure.
Do you still have to do male, female, white, black, white, and so on to be organized in your district?
It's optional. It's desired, but it's optional. We understand the challenges at the precinct level. The state understands. So it'd be nice, but it's not mandatory. It's more important we have people actually getting things done at this point.
Yeah.
And of course, the reason for these mandatory things.
It's just not possible in certain districts.
Sure, we understand that.
You can click as many of those in that question as you want. So if you're interested in being any of the vice chairs, but you don't know which one's going to work out, you can click all of them. So as long as you click something in that question, I don't think it really matters what, because we'll figure that out on the 12th.
Well, there's the 2 important ones. Actually, there's 3. Okay, at this go is the most important one is the executive committee person to the county. The second most important one is the president of the precinct, who, if there's not an executive committee person, votes in place. And the third one, just for what we have going between, the other one only is going to be an issue from between the early morning and the later morning, because that'll be the delegate that votes for the officers at the county convention. The person from the precinct that is the delegate to the county.
I'm going to interrupt because William, what did you just send in the chat?
Oh my God.
I don't understand what that means.
Well, the largest nuclear power station in Europe is in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
The AP is reporting that the Russians are shelling that nuclear power station right now.
What does
Oh, no.
shelling mean?
They're
That
bombing
means they're
it.
gonna blow it up, and this is gonna be the bigger disaster than Chernobyl.
Once they, it's my,
Trying to
it's
destroy
my
it.
guess, if they do that and you start having radiation passing off into Europe, which it definitely will,
It'll go
might be-
anywhere the wind blows.
you might consider that an attack
act
on
of
the
war.
nation. Yeah.
Does
They just
anyone
started a nuclear war. That's what they
Yep.
did.
does anyone know any good charities that are helping get people out of Ukraine?
There's quite a few listed
Listed where?
in Facebook and social media.
Okay, if you find them, put them in our Facebook group so that we can donate if we can and help
Right.
get folks out of there.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not up on my international politics as I
That's okay.
should be.
But we'll do a quick one, Nora, the Adopt a Highway.
Yeah, so everybody get ready for April 23rd. It's a Saturday. We're going in our second year of Adopt a Highway. That'll be our first outing of this year. And we'll do it a little differently. I think we'll break ourselves up into 4 different groups. Do 1 mile each, 2 miles down, 2 miles up, so that we can cover more ground. And just make sure you have it marked on your calendar. I appreciate everybody who's come out before. I think we did a great job. And
We
after
had
we
fun.
cleaned up,
We had fun at the lunch.
and then we had a lunch after. It was very nice. And I also called the South Carolina Department of Transportation afterwards because we noticed how dirty the median was. And although we're not allowed to clean up on the median, they sent people out when we called them to let them know to do it. So thank you, everybody, for showing up. And I hope to see you April 23rd, 10 o'clock. I'll send emails.
Except I have to be in Orlando for my 55th high school reunion that day. Sorry. I'll catch you on the next one.
Okay, there'll be a next one.
All right. Does anyone know of any real pressing business? I mean, we've got the Democratic candidate, Kevin, is going to be here in Lancaster at 4 and will be up at Sun City at 7 on next Wednesday, the 9th. Oh, there'll be a announcement going out, an email going out on that with details. Executive committee meeting.
Keith, March 9th in Sun City, are we allowed to go into Sun City if we don't live there?
Yeah, as guests.
Yeah, I think you can. Is there anybody else who want to make, Carrie, do you want to talk about this or?
I'd love to, Gene, but let me put it this way. Today, our governor was here and they were charging $10 a head to meet him.
They changed that. They canceled the $10.
They didn't take the $10?
Yes,
Anyway.
they canceled it.
Oh, good idea, because I was going to put in a real complaint. Anyway, we're doing this indoors, right?
Yes. I think there is, as I said, especially the Republicans had the governor here, so I wouldn't worry about it. Come on in and I'll let the desk know that there will be some guests and that will be okay.
All right,
Yeah,
thank you.
just tell them they're guests of the club.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Then we'll have an executive committee meeting on the usual
Thursday,
the 15th. I thought it was Tuesday, Katie.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
What?
It was wrong in the agenda with the day of the week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the first mistake in this agenda this week. Sorry, y'all.
Oh,
it happened.
I got my Thursday.
Lancaster Women's Council.
I can just quickly announce, Kevin, some of our members from the Lancaster Democratic Women will be joining Kershaw Democratic Women on Monday evening. Look forward to your presentation. And also Angela Jeter will be presenting, and this will be virtual. And at our March meeting, we will be celebrating Women's History Month, and one of our members will be reporting on the women who are on the U.S. Mint quarters, the coin, the quarter. So that's the update from the Women's Council.
Okay, and then Dem Good Time is scheduled to be live on the 23rd.
And Kevin will be there.
Yep. Kevin, you're covering a lot of ground.
I am trying my best, but I'm looking forward to see for all three events.
Okay, real good.
At the Dem Good Times, I'm going to try to start a book exchange. So I realized I've got quite a few books on Democratic things here. So most of them I won't be reading again, so I'll pass them along. And if you've got the same thing at your home, feel free to join me.
Yeah, unlike me, and I'm a hoarder, as you can see. Ellen reads it and moves it on. Okay, we ran a bit over, but for all good causes and a lot of information, is there anything else really pressing?
Yeah, Keith, I sent you a proposal. I'd like a response.
I'm sorry, pardon?
I sent you a proposal, I think last night. Take a look at your email.
Oh, great. Oh, there's a submission for, isn't that a submission for a resolution?
No.
Oh.
It's something about the Black Caucus.
Oh, okay. Carrie, go ahead.
Oh, okay. There is the Black Caucus is hosting what they call a Sunday dinner with to be able to give awards to the Reverend Jesse Jackson will be speaking. They have requested, I guess you got the email from this, that Lancaster County buy a table. The table is $650 for 8 people. All right, I made a proposal to Keith regarding that, and I don't want to talk about that. All right, yeah, look at your email.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll follow this up.
Yeah.
I'll follow up with this.
It's something
Thank
we
you,
really
Carrie.
should consider. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
right.
see what we can do on that.
I have one more thing. I know we're already 16 minutes over. So I'm just going to extend an invitation to y'all. We've talked about a lot of really important issues tonight, and thank you, Mandy, for highlighting so many of those. And we can't fight these issues or fight for these issues or fight against these issues if we don't have Democrats running for office. So if you want to stay on this meeting with me after we adjourn, we can say and brainstorm how to get candidates to run for all our local offices, from town councils all the way up to I think the highest office we don't have a candidate for is state senate.
Also, House District 44.
So if you want to stay on with me, I know we're already late, but we can see what we can do to recruit some candidates for these offices.
Okay, thank you, Katie. Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
If I move that the meeting be adjourned.
Thank you, Verda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nora.
We
All
done?
in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Questions, discussion? Oh, okay, Carrie. All in favor, signify by raising your hand, either virtually or for real.
Aye.
Any opposed by same sign? Thanks again, Mandy, so much. Any opposed? Seeing no opposition. For my last time, I adjourn this meeting of Lancaster Democratic Party. Thank you so much for some.
Thanks, Keith.
Good night.
Good
Okay.
night.
I'm gonna step away for a pit stop. You go ahead, Katie.
Okay. I'm gonna give folks a minute. I still see people dropping off the screen. Oh, I may have just messed that up.
I turn my camera off, but I'll still be listening and offering ideas.
Okay. Oh, are y'all hanging out with me? Yay! I know it's late, y'all, but I really want to make sure that we have candidates for all of our offices. So first, let me just show you this list that Keith and I have jotted down, because some of you may know something that we don't. So does anybody have any information on Kershaw Town Council or the Heath Springs Town Council? No? Okay. I don't know much about those either. I know Tamika Morrow is on the Heath Springs Town Council and she does a great job, but she is not up for re-election this year. So we don't have to worry about her seat.
I think she just quit.
She did?
Yeah, that seat's open. It sounds like there's going to be a special election. There's something very quick about it in the Lancaster News that I don't know why she quit.
I don't know either. It's been
But
a
I
while
think
since
Sorry.
No, I was just saying it's been a while since I've spoken to her about it.
It's nonpartisan, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Not
And
100% sure.
Donzie Mackey quit too.
Do you know how to spell that?
Oh, sorry, that's below under Lancaster City Council, District 2. That's Gonzi Mackey.
Oh, Gonzi Mackey down here. So would there be a special election? Sorry, I think you were muted.
I think so, but I don't know when.
Okay, we'll have to find out. So what else do we know about the Lancaster City Council? You know, I thought it was only the even ones who were up for re-election. Because I thought it was odd school board districts this year and then even county council districts. Oh, this is city council. That's why I'm looking at it backwards.
Yep.
Okay, so does anybody know anyone who would be a good candidate for any of these? We could reach out to them and ask them to run.
Well, the funny thing is I've had about 4 people approach me, but I'm committed to House District 45.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one thing to keep in mind, men generally need to be asked to run twice if they need to be asked to run at all. Women usually need to be asked to run for office 7 times or more before they actually run.
I think I think I did ask you 7 times to run for something.
Well, now I'm unsure personally because of this District 1 school board because of those other candidates.
Well,
Like, I want to run, I want to get my issues out there, but I don't want to run at the cost of putting in a super right-wing person.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I've heard that this go around would still be nonpartisan, even if McMaster signs the bill. I may have misunderstood that. I don't know.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm nervous about. Well, I think they should definitely be nonpartisan. The way it would work out this year in a nonpartisan race would mean if I run, I may mess things up.
Yeah, you'd probably draw some off of Melvin, but
Yeah,
I don't.
and I feel like if it's Melvin versus lady whose name I can't remember,
Crazy lady.
yeah,
That'll
I
work.
just I hesitate to call people names.
Well,
I know
looked
I
at
would
her.
siphon off some. What? Sorry.
I read her stance. She's a crazy lady.
Okay.
Yeah, Suzanne's.
I still think you should run though.
I feel like Melvin's got a good chance to beat her, but not if somebody takes off some of his votes.
You know, I'm not sure about that. I'll do a little more research
Okay.
in the community of the contacts that I have. I know
If
there's
it-
a lot of people that have said Melvin doesn't have as much support as one would think on ethnicity, and that ethnicity would be strongly supporting you.
Yeah, find out what you can if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Or let me know who I can talk to.
I
Charlene
thought District
Griff.
1 was white, almost all white.
It is.
So I don't know if ethnicity
know.
would really influence anything.
It does reach down into a little bit of Lancaster because Osceola, like my precinct, kind of dips down a little bit, but not a lot.
Now, are you talking about?
Not much.
Yeah, okay, the precincts, but the districts have radically changed.
Yeah, and I wish we had maps, but I haven't been able to find them.
Well, I guess let me rephrase this a little bit. Melvin's support, and actually this is a valid point, Suzanne. If he doesn't have any advantages on ethnicity, if a right-wing whack job comes out versus anything else, I don't think he loses anything.
Well, see, Melvin has the benefit of making the white people feel like they're not racist because they voted for a black man.
That's true.
Because, and they can still vote for their Republican, their guy who loves McMaster and Trump, and feel good about themselves because they voted for a black man.
But if they get a
we still
real
recording?
crazy one that just is in tune with them, the rest of that goes out the window.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll do some research and strategizing on that. What about the other school board districts?
Well, I don't know about school board districts, but I know Joel said that he would go for the county council.
It's not up for,
The one around Sun City is not up this time.
no, that's District 1 with me.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
He didn't know. I didn't know off the top of my head. Okay. He'd make a good foil against the Republicans up there. But not this go around. Okay.
So what about county council?
Well, Charlene doesn't expect anyone to put, but she doesn't rule it out either. She's not complacent at all.
Yeah, well, we need people for districts 4 and 6,
Yep.
at least to run. So any ideas? I just don't know how to get people to run.
Yeah.
We have too
This is
many
what I've
empty
been
slots
facing.
here. Say what?
This is what I've been facing for years.
I asked the Greenville County chair this weekend at the Clyburn Fellowship, and he said that he hasn't had a lot of luck with it yet, but one thing he does is if he sees somebody in the news who's doing something good in the community, he puts a note in Vote Builder so he can follow up and ask them about running for office later.
That's a great idea. Yeah, we need to utilize that better.
So if y'all hear any names or remember any names or anything, reach out to them. Let us know so we can reach out to them. We can get them to run for office. All right. How
Yeah.
about? Go ahead.
No, sorry, that's a great idea. Sorry, I'm not being more useful right now. It's always hard, this part.
Yeah, that's okay because I feel like I'm pretty useless with this too right now. I'm really worried about these two right here because of what's going on in our state legislature. I feel like it's easier for us to put pressure on like our county council and our school board and stuff, but we have nobody for House 44, and I don't even know what Senate districts we're looking at.
Well, it's clearly defined. That's one that's clearly defined. It's the Panhandle north of State Road 5. It does not cross into York County anymore.
Which one?
44.
Oh, okay.
It is everything north of
There's
State
somebody
Road
else.
5. And it's going to be a tough one because Nice is going to be a hard one to beat. He's done a lot for his community. He's pretty sane.
But will he vote in line with the other Republicans in the House?
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
Most of the time he would. I don't think he's as right wing as Brandon Newton is.
He may not originate that stuff, but if he's going to vote for it, then we
It's
need to
just
put
as
somebody up
bad.
against him.
Yep. Yeah. There was
When I emailed Mike about the partisan school board thing, he didn't respond, which I didn't think was a good sign. I mean, when you're campaigning and you don't respond to somebody who does not even identify themselves as a Democrat, that's a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then again, maybe he won't be that good a Republican candidate if we can find one to stand. You know, it's a no-brainer if there's a blank slot for 44 on the Democratic side. He wins.
And we don't have a senator either.
Maybe,
Yeah.
I wonder some of the people on the school board who won't want to run if it's partisan. I wonder if we might be able to persuade them to run for something else, or, well, I don't know if that makes sense, because I mean, if
Yes,
they,
it does. Usually things like school board and commissions and all are where you start building your bench.
Do we have any Democrats on the school board?
Not many, and one of them's just about senile.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I thought Ken Buck might lean more our direction, and then today he posted a picture of himself and McMaster.
well, people do that around here sometimes.
Yeah, and the caption said he was at least trying to talk to him about our schools. So
Yeah, that may not be a deal killer for him. Of course, I have a friend, a very kind of radical friend, that she likes to pose with these people, and she has, and then she'll have something they can't see slamming them.
You know,
kind of a political photobomb of sorts.
So Katie, what house district do you live in?
I live in 44. And I had a wild idea a couple weeks back to, what if I did it because of the way that the school board is going. And then I mentioned it to Alan, Keith's campaign manager, and Alan just went, "That's a lot of work."
And it is. However, we can do a lot of that work for you.
I will also, make a shameless plug. I work for a political consulting company called JGS Strategies, which stands for Just Getting Started Strategies. And so we work with new candidates and try to help them get off the ground running. It's run by
I saw
Jenny
that.
Ashley. I work for it. Jenny Ashley started, and we have a couple other interns. We're doing 2 congressional races and 2 the special House election in District 97. And then we're also doing the special state Senate race for Hugh Leatherman right now.
Wow. But let me ask this. Would
Oh.
I have any kind of a chance against Mike Neese? I mean, I know I could make a mess raising the issues and get some attention, but
That's why I came in 2 years ago, Katie. I did not really seriously figure I had a snowball chance in hell, but I was going to get issues discussed, and we did.
well, that's what I wanted to do for the school board.
Mhm.
Yeah,
we needed strong defense on the school board but the situation
I
is getting
just-
so murky.
I'd so much rather have Melvin than that other lady.
Mhm. I understand. And that is a valid political
Is-
calculus.
Some things Melvin has done, I've agreed with him. And he's been in the minority of trying to get some of these things done, and he's gotten voted down, but he's at least trying to make things accessible to parents and
Fighting
and
is a
let the
good fight.
yeah.
He's a
So
very
I would just
reasonable person.
I would not, if it were, this is gonna sound bad, but if it were partisan, I would run. No problem. I don't want
Yeah,
it to be
because-
partisan, but with it being nonpartisan like that, I just don't want to be that like,
Spoiler.
I understand exactly what you're saying.
yeah.
No, that's very valid, Katie. And I
Yeah.
definitely agree with you on that. So maybe, there's a lot of stuff we can, this makes it easier because you're a progressive like me. There's so much stuff we can clone for you.
So you think it's
Pardon?
not a stupid idea
No,
if I
it's
tried for
not.
House 44?
It's not
I
a
know.
stupid idea.
Right.
Anyone else
You're
chime
not
in?
going to get anywhere just having no one on the ballot. Having someone on the ballot is better than nothing, and you can start working from there to eventually flip the House seat.
Yeah, you're young. I mean, Mike Neese is, I think, going to be a really strong opponent. When I was complaining about his not
Mhm.
emailing me back, I think what that indicated was that he was on the right-wing partisan side of the issue. Not that I think he's a bad campaigner. I think he's probably pretty good. But if you want to run to just raise the issues and publicize some things and make him uncomfortable and have to defend himself at times, then
And commit.
yeah, I mean,
I can do that.
right, and that's still worth doing. Even if he wins in a landslide, you're going to get some press coverage.
I don't think he'd win in a landslide. One, it's an open seat. Two, Katie's damn good.
Yeah, Katie's great.
Yes, she is.
Y'all gonna make me
Three.
blush.
Three, like I said, we've got a really good infrastructure being built for 45. Somehow I think Mandy will pitch in for 44. I don't know why.
Well, and Keith, could we get your friend who was in the Virginia legislature?
Yes, I'm sure. No, I talked to him. He took a pass again, but I'll bet he'd help. And that would be great because that would give you someone to build around with a lot more experience than the rest of us have.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here's my next question. Well, I also have a lot of people up in Charlotte who would come down and help, even though they couldn't vote for me. But, and Keith, you might be the best person to answer this. What is the time commitment for, because I'm about to start a new career,
Yeah.
but a very
Okay.
flexible career.
Yeah,
Like real estate can be whatever I want it to be. So
that's a good question. And I think I can frame it for you, an answer for you. 2 years ago when I ran, I was on a very flexible schedule, but still
Mhm.
full-time employed. Now, COVID kept us from doing a whole lot of in-person stuff. But it did give us a chance to kind of build. I'm sorry, Alan dropped out.
oh, that's okay. It's late, y'all. I was not going to be surprised if everybody left. So thank y'all for staying.
Sure. And Kevin, thank you very much.
You
So
know,
y'all think oh, go
I was
ahead.
just 44 and I would be willing to help you any way I can.
Thank you.
You know,
That means a lot.
I've been watching the videos of the hearings from the Education and Public Works Committee for those 5 CRT bills,
Mm-hmm.
and the Democratic representatives on there are all pretty intelligent and know what they're talking about. They know what CRT is all about. But the ones from the other side, they don't have a clue. And even the ones that wrote those bills, or supposedly wrote it, they actually got it from that other organization that sent it out to all the different states.
Probably a Koch brothers fronted organization.
Yeah, I saw the name of the
Or DeVos.
organization, but I don't remember it right now.
I know the one you're referring to, and
Yeah.
it's definitely one of those right-wing
Yeah.
national ones that crank this stuff out and send it to every state.
Yeah, but the ones that did that, they have no idea what CRT is, and they thought they could just make their own definition of CRT.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
thrown LGBTQ issues into it. They've thrown women's issues into it. They don't have a clue what CRT is, and they don't care.
And they've highly defended that they could make their own definition of it. And what Dr. Long from USC was there that first night, and she was letting them have it about making their own definition.
Good for her.
Good for her. Yeah, that's awesome.
But I
Well,
was
see, this whole CRT thing is something I've got a pretty good basic platform going, but we're
Yeah.
gonna review everything. And this is definitely something that's gonna be added into it.
They've made a
is-
boogeyman is what they've done.
Yeah, like
And
they've done on
anything they want to
everything
scare them
else.
about. But I was thinking, these people don't even know what they've done. They can't defend what they've done because they don't even know what CRT is really about to begin with. And I thought, if these people can win these positions,
Mm-hmm.
it just made me really lose respect for them.
Yeah.
And I know, as intelligent as you are and as hardworking as you are, you can do really well, and I would be glad to help you.
Thank
we
you.
would, at the State House, Katie, we would be able to give more cover to the local school boards.
That's true. That's true.
I'm
Well-
excited
Yeah.
about this. Well, I have to go, y'all, but I think these plans sound great. So
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'll also add that my campaign can work with you too. Well, both you and Keith as well, because I would like to, part of my goal with my campaign is trying to help all the other Democrats in the area too. So even if I lose, if we can flip a couple state seats, I would consider that great.
Thank you, Kevin.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Well-
we're definitely gonna run a combined campaign through Lancaster County.
Yeah. And Kevin, anything you need, please reach out.
Oh, you've done plenty. I mean, I got 3 events involving Lancaster in this month.
Yeah, I'm excited. Well, we like you and we hate Ralph Norman. So
He's pretty easy to hate.
That's a low bar,
Email waiting.
but you exceed it by several orders of magnitude.
Sorry, Gina, what was that?
I said, I have an email waiting in my email box to read from him a response to something I sent him. I can't wait to read it.
Ooh,
Oh, from Norman?
Yeah.
I'm surprised
take a
he
look.
responded to you. Yeah.
Take a look and let us know. We'll hang
They're
on.
never good. They're never good.
Oh, they're usually boilerplate crap. Yeah.
You want to hear a good Ralph Norman story?
Sure.
I sent him a postcard when they're impeaching Trump for the first time. And he sent me a 4-page letter back telling me how I was wrong. I think I used the phrase "grow a backbone and defend the Constitution." So he sent me a 4-page letter back.
I think I would frame that, hang it in my office.
I'd probably wipe my butt with it.
You triggered him. Good job. Wow. Okay, well, y'all, I will talk to my family. I am a bit surprised, but wow. Okay, yeah.
And
Like I said,
there's a town
your concerns for Melvin are justified. And he's far better than this whack job that is now going against him. If
And do you
anything,
know
I
what-
probably,
Oh,
if
sorry.
anything, I probably would subtly, quietly support Melvin.
I was actually thinking about that. Yeah. Just to keep the other lady from getting in.
Oh,
Gina,
my
what were you
God.
saying?
I said, if there's a town council opening in Kershaw, I might talk to my husband about it and see if I could convince him for running for that.
Yes, and we would support him or you.
Well,
Um,
with all my health issues, I don't know if I could do it. I would love to run if I could, but my health has gotten worse and worse. They've just recently diagnosed me with psoriatic arthritis on top of.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, I know
Well,
what that is. That's not
On a
good.
personal note, if you need anything, please let us know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was just saying my schedule is a lot more flexible than it used to be. So if you ever need something, just reach out.
We're looking right now to see if we can find anything where we could get help financing to get a van customized for my motorized wheelchair. I used to have a motorized wheelchair with the van, and then we moved into this house. I was able to walk again, but we kept the motorized wheelchair. Now I need it back again. So we were looking to see if we could find grants or anything. Y'all don't know anything about that, do you?
Let me think about that.
Would Andrea know?
I'll bet she does.
Let's send her an email.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a note right now. Andrea, who was in our meeting tonight, she's on the disabilities caucus, and this is like a thing that she does. It's just her passion.
Okay. You know, I've been frustrated with the disability caucus because they were supposed to meet that one time to start with the bylaws and didn't meet, and we're going to reschedule. I went to the rescheduled one and nobody was there. So I wrote to the one of the co-chairs, and she said, oh, we rescheduled that one, and I'll let you know when it comes back up again, and nothing else has come up.
Huh. Keith, do you have Andrea's email? I just tried to, I don't know why it's not popping up for me. But maybe Gina, could we give you Andrea's email too? Because she's
that would be great.
Give me a second. I can bring it up and I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
She could be a good resource for you, especially if they're trying to do all that, because she's the reason that at our last state convention we had closed captioning on the Zoom. She got that done.
Yep.
So she is all about trying to change things to make them work for everybody. And changing the schedule all the time that's one of the things that you don't do.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, I'm competing with you, Katie.
Yeah, look at you. You know, this is going to be your job if I have to run a meeting.
Oh, yeah, and funny you mentioned that. I will still take care of some of the tech stuff. And we'll try to train a few other people to do it as well. But I'll keep going with this. I need to mobilize for Kevin's meet and greets. I'll send you the details on that tomorrow.
Yeah, we do need to make that. I'm sorry, that slipped through my mind.
No apology. It's Kevin. I have a lot on my plate, and that one has just kind of, I got a reservation for a nice place for us to meet, and I have not gotten the notice out yet, but it'll happen tomorrow.
Oh, that's perfectly all right. I completely understand.
Now, let me make sure. Have you heard from, oh Lord, Chester County?
No.
I'll call him tomorrow to make sure he's on the loop. Joel's pretty good about organizing this stuff. But I'm not sure, if he connected with the guy in Chester County who's kind of the acting chair over there, because Ann Puccio is backed off.
Oh, okay. Well,
but he's a county council person, so, and long time, so he makes shit happen once he knows about it.
Yeah, you could also send me his number too, because I've had some difficulty being in contact with the Chester party. Yeah, I haven't really heard anything, because we reached out to them several times, never really heard back, and we're just kind of wondering about what's going on with their county convention as well.
Okay, that's strange. Let me make sure we got the same name.
I didn't know Ann had stepped back, so I was reaching out primarily to Ann, but I think we reached out to their executive
Well,
committee.
that might have been part of the problem.
Mhm.
We're lucky tonight. I'm just gonna nuke some leftovers. Michael Vaughn,
Yes.
he's the man. I'll ping him tomorrow or tonight.
Okay, yeah.
Hey Keith, I have a random question.
I'll give you a random answer.
Okay. Tell me again where District 44's southern line is.
It's State Road 5.
Where is that?
It's just a little bit north of Van Wyck.
State Road 5.
I've been here over
Okay, I
18
know where.
years, and I still don't know which is the right way to pronounce it.
It looks like Wick, but I have heard a lot of people say Van Wyck.
Yep.
Um,
And I've seen natives do it both ways. I mean, people born and bred there both ways. Anyway, it's just a little bit north of that. So if you look at just any kind of road map, Google map, and it's everything north of that is House District 44. Now, it's a little weirder when we start talking about, wait a minute. No, that's not right. Because Michael Fanning has this little bitty chunk. I don't know what the hell the Republicans were doing. They have a little bitty chunk, and I don't remember the number of that district. I'll have to go back and look at it.
SC5.
And that could be a little iffy because you're not that far north. You could be in Mike Fanning's district. I'll have the maps probably by tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
I'll
That's
I'll make
Andrew
sure
Jackson State Park.
Yeah.
SC5. Okay.
Yeah. I'll ask Marianne about that. For 44, which goes down into Kershaw now, and then for 45, which now goes down to Kershaw. For 44, which is the north tip of the county, and then there's this little tiny band that comes over. Mike Fanning's a great guy, so. So we got all these different things we got to juggle, the state house districts versus county council, which and school board, which mirrors county council. And of course, everything's been screwed up because census was delayed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Republicans have been doing their damnedest to gerrymander things.
Ribs, wings, and more. I'm making that mobilize right now, so don't forget.
Okay, thank you.
Elm Street in Lancaster.
Yes.
All right.
126 Elm Street.
All right, perfect.
And I've got the reservation with them. And, you know, for those of us that stick around and get some supper before you go up to, Sun City, that'll be good for their business. This is a new business.
Mm-hmm.
In a location that goes back like 30 or 40 years from what I understand.
Okay.
But they were very cooperative on this. Unfortunately, the situation at the other place we've been using kind of went south.
Punky
I made a
down.
reservation. I'd made a reservation last month, and then I called in 2 days before because Sun City canceled because of the spike.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I said, well, we've got these kind of linked events, and I'm going to have to cancel mine because that canceled up there. And the message didn't get through to the right people. They dropped the ball, but the owner got perturbed because they did a little minor setup and then we didn't show up. And so the person doing the reservations was told by the owner, don't do any more for me. But they had already been kind of pushing back because not enough people were buying dinner after our meeting. So
No, I understand. I've been trying to set up some my own meet and greets, and I've gotten that from restaurants where they're more worried about who's buying, how much food's being bought. So I'm trying to do more breweries where they're probably not going to care as much.
Right, because we'll definitely drink.
Yeah. So what is Sun City? Because I know I was actually checking out a venue in Indian Land. I drove past it, but is this just like a retirement community or?
It's huge and it's 55 and up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it look?
Sun City, Carolina Lakes is massive.
Sorry to interrupt, guys, but I'm gonna go.
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks for
y'all
sticking
have a good
around.
night.
Jenna, thank you very much.
Have a good night.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Y'all, I'm probably gonna hop off too. But I just put the link for the Mobilize in the chat. I was trying to upload the photo and they're not in the right file type. I don't know these computer things, y'all. I can Google things. So I'll work on that. Yeah, I'll ask him.
How's the new job going?
Good. Yeah. Data refresh days are rough, but he can't work overtime, which is fantastic.
When
So my husband works for the CDC.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. In around 1990, I transferred. I did a career change. Kevin, you'll like this. I went from being a sheet metal mechanic welder to IT, Oracle database administrator. Little bit of a jump. And anyway, back then they still paid us time and a half overtime.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? Don't tell your husband, he'd be so jealous.
Oh, I'd be rich by now. 5 years of teaching if I got paid overtime.
Yeah. I went from being the training director for a sheet metal union. Got this? Did my career change in 2 years. Okay, I was 17 years in sheet metal work in a union. In 2 years, I was making more in IT than I'd made as a sheet metal training director. Those were the days. Then they started offshoring all this stuff to people who were 90-day graduates of computer camps and stuff. And believe me, by the time it came close to retirement, I was like, I'm over this. I'm tired of changing diapers and holding hands.
I worked in a factory for a year making paper towels and toilet paper.
I worked in a cornfield. Does that count?
Hey, these are things I make a big deal of on my platform, on my website. I've been there. I've done that. I have life experiences. I've lived in Section 8 housing. I've had food stamps to feed my family. These parts of the safety net should not be shredded because most of us don't want to live that way. But our families need it. It needs to be there. And then we move out of that.
My family almost lost my parents almost lost our house when I was in high school. They didn't tell me until I was in college.
Wow. That had to be terrifying for them.
Like I knew things were bad. And I can remember like being at Cookout and ordering and then not having enough money to pay for it. Like literally like trying to empty our pockets with all the change. At Cookout, right? And Cookout is not as cheap as it used to be, but it used to be real cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So what I'm saying to y'all, suggesting to y'all, compound the fact we have the life experiences. We know what it's like. We're not trying to take care of Bezos and the rest of the corporate ones.
Mhm.
We're trying to take care of people who are where we've been. That's my passion. I'm trying to pay forward. I'm comfortable. I don't have to do a bit of this.
I mean,
Not-
Eric makes so much right now that I don't even have to work.
Oh, that's terrific.
I mean, there's, we're not like, we don't have spending money right now, but we're fine. We're stable.
Mhm.
And that's something I didn't expect to happen after, and my dad lost his job when I was in fourth grade. And I feel like that kind of marked the end of that era where you could have like a single income household and make it, right?
Yep.
So I never
Oh,
expected
yeah.
this for me personally. So yeah.
You all are of a generation that sometimes two breadwinners aren't enough. And I
Mhm.
feel for that.
Or,
I
single
feel for-
parents with 3 jobs who still need food stamps and still need Section 8 housing.
Yeah.
When I worked-
And that's what I'm fighting for, folks.
I've worked multiple jobs at multiple points in my life to make ends meet. It's miserable working 2 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I always see people be like, oh, well, if you don't make it, I'll see a second job. It's like, you don't really understand what that involves. And it doesn't get you ahead. It just exhausts you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like
It
I was
just drags out the agony.
Yeah. And it's like I was a delivery driver for Domino's along with my regular job because I was just like flat broke for moving. And like me and everyone else were working 2 jobs and we're just surviving on monsters because I'm working till 3 a.m. at Domino's, go home, sleep for 4 hours, go to my regular job, go home, sleep for another couple hours.
And then when you go to the doctor for whatever issues that you're experiencing because of the lack of sleep and the amount of cortisol from the stress and all of that, and they tell you, get more sleep. You need to de-stress.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
You gonna pay me per hour for my sleep? No, I grew up. Dad worked. Mom occasionally would work if they had some targeted project, like buying a boat, motorboat, not a big yacht or anything, but you know what I mean. Or, maybe accelerating payments on the mortgage or whatever. Optional. We had, I don't even know well, we had union health insurance, so that wasn't too bad back then in the 50s and 60s. We had perfect care, perfect medical care, plenty to eat, all the rest of that on basically one income. And I think it's totally appalling what's happened in the last 30 years.
My mom didn't work. My dad supported the family until 2003. And then my mom she started a retail business. And of course, then 2008 happened. And so retail in 2008 wasn't doing, and my dad lost his job for the second time that year too. So yeah, I'm a hometown, Milltown kind of kid.
Oh, make that point with Mandy. And you will have a best friend forever.
Yeah, well, because like when I was a kid, education, I remember my mom would go to the school board meetings and I had to go too, because my dad was at work and they were always in the library at the high school. And so I remember just like exploring the library because I was a nerdy little kid, and playing with my friends and stuff. But then when my mom would get up to speak, and my mom is not, my mom is not me. I'm the opinionated politician, right? But she,
and articulate.
well, thank you. My mom is just a sweet Southern white woman. Like that's a good way to put it. You can't leave her house without her feeding you. But she doesn't speak in front of people. She's just kind and happy that you're there. But so I remember anytime she'd get up and speak, I would stop what I was doing and listen. And she would advocate for me because I was in like the gifted programs and stuff. And so anytime the school board tried to do something that was going to affect me
Negatively.
yeah, she would get up and she would fight it. And I just have those memories in my head of this person who did not enjoy doing these things and was stepping out of her comfort zone and you know, I'm her kid, but I'm still not her. You know, she wasn't advocating for herself. So I just like that sticks out in my brain. And my poor mom is way more liberal than she knows. I told her I got the Clyburn Fellowship, and I said, I got this fellowship and it's going to teach me stuff. And I get to go 4 weekends down to Columbia and learn from politicians and people in office. And I said, there's just one thing, Mom, that you're not going to like. And she said, what? And I said, it's a Jim Clyburn Fellowship. And she said, who's that? And I said, well, he's a Democrat. And she went, well, I just can't be liberal. And immediately followed that with a 10-minute rant about how we need to take care of the environment.
Cognitive dissonance, right?
My girlfriend's mom and grandma are the same way. They were like, thought they're Republicans, but like they like all the Democratic policies.
So I just want to educate people, you know, like if people really, really understood what was going on, things would be a lot different.
Amen, sister. Amen.
Anyway, but I've kept y'all long enough.
No,
this was great. I enjoyed every minute of it.
we need to find more Katie's.
Yes.
Kevin. That's what I'm working on. Not
Just
old
clone her
farts
and
like
have them
me.
run for every single seat.
Young people like you and Katie.
Well, right now I'm looking for anybody who will just put their name on the ballot.
Yeah, I'll take warm bodies at this point.
Also,
Because-
Kevin. Oh, sorry, Keith.
No, go ahead.
My Clyburn class is definitely better than yours. I don't even know which one yours is, but mine's better.
I was in the 2019 class, so we were like almost 50 people, and that was the last time they had.
You were in that class.
Yes.
Were you with Angela Clyburn? Was that her class?
No, we had Jennifer Clyburn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I keep hearing stories about that class. So apparently there's like a big rivalry between the different classes in the Clyburn Fellowship.
It's a friendly rivalry. We all do.
Yeah, and there's also the element of centrist versus progressives.
There are a lot of progressives in my class.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm really, really glad to hear that.
I'm happy with the
Katie's
direction
also
they're
in the Majesta Skempkins fellow thing right now.
Have you done that, Kevin?
What was it?
This is the South Carolina Progressive Network.
It's the
And
Majeska Simpkins School.
No, I'm not.
Put it on your list.
You want to
Do it one
check it
day.
out.
You can't do
I'll
it right
tell you
now
what,
because
Kevin.
there's already
Kevin,
class started, but do it one
If
day.
you want to do it next year, I'll sponsor it.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
It's cool. It's basically a CRT class.
Actually, yes.
Yeah.
The real thing.
It's really cool.
Boy, did it open up my eyes. You know, actually, if I'd gone through that 18 years ago, I probably wouldn't have moved to South Carolina. It's scary.
Y'all, you know what I learned? And I'm still trying to figure out how this guy knew this, because at the first class, this guy got up and did a presentation where he talked faster than I talk, and I know I talk fast. And he just like clicked through the slides, and I'm trying to scribble stuff down. The first Africans to get to the Americas was not in 1619. 800 BC. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the whole world. Because like even like all the liberals I know are like 1619. No, it was 800 BC. And I thought that was awesome. That was before the Vikings.
Yeah.
By a lot.
I subscribe to Archaeology magazine and The Nation. You kind of get where I come from. And the stuff that it's been mind-blowing for someone who's been a lifelong history student and all the other related things. It's been mind-blowing, the developments in the last 5 years of what they've been finding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was going to
Columbus
say,
was a Johnny-come-lately with a load of viruses and pestilence.
Kevin, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I like the direction they've taken with Clyburn Fellowship now, because like my class was like almost 50 people, and so it was very big, and a lot of people were already like really experienced in the like we had like a couple county party chairs. We had Jennifer Clyburn Reed, we had Jermaine Johnson, we had like a lot of different organizers in the Richland area. That they've gone smaller, and they're trying to make sure all the counties get included now, because there's like at least 10, 15 people just from Richland County in my class.
Wow. Yeah, we have some elected officials, and like when I sat down the first morning, I was like to people next to me, like, hey, I'm Katie, who are you? Hey, just general information, like introductions, small talk. And I was sitting between two attorneys, and I went, what am I doing here? Hi, I'm unemployed. But no, they were so awesome and so helpful, and like everybody was just really welcoming, and like we already bonded our class. Like it's already one big family, which is really cool.
That's good.
Yeah, and so I initially I felt like really overwhelmed and like underqualified, but then as we went on, it was like, okay, no, like these people are great, and they're going to help me, and then I'm going to help them, and we're all going to learn together, and it's awesome, and I'm really excited for the next weekend.
Yeah,
that's the networking.
That's how I felt in my first class, because it's like everyone's getting up and introducing themselves, and they're like, I start my own nonprofit, or I'm a lawyer, I'm doing whatever, and I'm like, I just knock on doors.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. It's like, I just quit being a teacher. Hi. But
well, the main thing is that you don't, and I'm confident this won't happen.
But no, it's great. I'm very happy for you.
I'm confident what won't happen is you get sucked into the centrist mindset. Because I'm working an inside-outside game with the Democratic Party. It's got to be pretty obvious by now. I affiliate with DSA, Our Revolution, and you see my sign, Progressive Democrat. Yet I will be county chair for a couple more weeks. No, a week.
Oh yeah.
But look at who has stepped up to take my place. Another progressive Democrat. I'm so happy and so relieved, Katie, let me tell you.
Well, I just had to say thank you, because I signed up to write thank you notes, actually. And y'all just scooped me up and taught me things and said, here, take this leadership, and here, take this leadership. And y'all have just like given me stepping stones to just go forward. And
it's called
thank you.
Mentoring. And I am pretty good at mentoring people.
When I hope you're okay with this. When I tell people about you, I say that you're my mentor.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. I mean, if you don't mind taking some heat for that radical Keith Gray.
No, so Jay Parmley led most of this weekend with the Clyburn Fellows, and he knew exactly who I was and why I was there.
And me.
And he was fine with it. Totally fine with it. So.
And here's the thing.
No hard
I
feelings
actually find myself in the weird position, and you'll appreciate this, Kevin. I find myself in a weird position of defending Trav Robertson.
I like Trav.
And this is how I frame it. Trav is a pragmatic. If you have results, he's behind you.
He's
He has your
smart.
back. And in 6 years, Lancaster Democratic Party, I'm sharing this with Kevin particularly, has gone from occasional meetings and 10 or 12 people showing up to where I have a campaign, progressive campaign, that's 10 to 12 people.
That's so exciting.
And you saw our turnout tonight. Of course, Mandy helps. Mandy's on this team.
Mandy, this was our biggest meeting this year so far because I do the attendance.
Yeah.
I
made a note. We hit 25.
That's awesome. I don't think I
Kevin,
clocked in that many, but
we were hitting 60 in meetings in face before COVID hit.
Wow.
That's what we had built up to.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID like damn near cut our knees out.
yeah, COVID took. Yep.
Now, meanwhile, and I'm going to share this with all three of you very intentionally. We have been in close work with DSA and okay, oh geez, who was the other one? We're sharing membership lists of progressives to get them into the precinct meetings and the county conventions. How do you like that for some?
Tell me again who DSA is.
Democratic Socialists of America.
Ah.
Yeah, they're not really that far left of Bernie.
No.
It's just that they have a hard time dealing with.
I mean, I think even
Fences.
I think all of the Democratic Party have the same goals. It's just that progressives want to get there faster.
Well, that, and we do want to do a lot more.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
have you read Letter from a Birmingham Jail recently?
yes. Yes.
He just
That
lays
was
it on
last
the
year.
moderates.
That was last year.
But anyway, I'm gonna go.
I need to get some supper.
Yeah, but thank you.
I
Thank you all.
need to put some food on top of this wine.
That's a good idea. Thanks for hanging out with us, Kevin.
Of course.
Yes.
This is great.
To help in any way
Definitely.
I
We
can.
know you're a fellow warrior.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got a lot of support in Lancaster.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it. And I'm
I
looking
hope you
forward to
realize
some of
that by now.
No, you've been super helpful to me and I appreciate everything. I think you've been the most helpful county party I've had so far.
Wow. Okay.
That's such a compliment. Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, but on the other side, that's also kind of discouraging. We will work on the other county chairs.
Oh, Kevin, one small thing you can do for us is give us a little nudge in the direction of phone banking.
Yes. When I get to that, I will give you a nudge.
We just need a little nudge.
Kevin,
It's not the greatest thing, but we aren't doing it at all. So we need at least a little bit of it.
Okay.
Kevin, how good are your contacts with our allies, as I perceive them? DSA or RSC and the rest.
Oh, like Planned Parenthood and Moms
Yeah.
Against.
Moms Demand Action.
Yeah, that's it. I was thinking Moms Against Drunk Driving.
AFL-CIO, South Carolina. I'm rolling off groups I've had endorsements from. Have you proceeded with that? Do you need contact info?
Contact info would be good. I'm still kind of working on that. My background's more with the environmental groups.
Yep.
So I have a lot of contacts with them.
Well, actually, I think I had an endorsement from one of the environmental groups too. So
Yeah.
hey, let's swap info here.
That's a good
folks.
idea. Yeah, y'all should share.
Yeah, and if you want
y'all include you, Katie.
Yeah, I see. I gotta break this to Eric.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, you got to have support.
But I know on March
I'll tell you in a second.
March 22nd is the Conservation Coalition's lobby day.
I'm
And there's going to be, I think, about 40 environmental groups there.
Really?
Yep. And then afterwards, the Conservation Voters of South Carolina are hosting a oyster roast, which would also be good to stop in because, you know, lawmakers will be there and everyone will be a great way to
I
network with
love
all the
love
lawmakers.
shellfish.
Mhm.
Hey, send me the info.
Yes,
I'll be
I'll forward it to you.
Okay.
And now, right now, I'm just working on trying to build up my contacts and trying to get into a lot of the other counties, just kind of work it that way. I also think at the moment, not a lot of people are taking me that serious.
Yeah, you've got a real uphill battles,
Mhm.
my man.
But-
And I appreciate you taking this on, and we
Mhm.
will help you all
Mhm.
weekend.
I think I'll get where I need to go.
You didn't hear this from me, but you might want to approach our Revolution South Carolina for an endorsement if you're that progressive.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll check them out. I'll reach out to them.
I was on the committee, but I had to recuse myself because I'm running.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm
But
also just
we think highly of Mia, and
Okay, I
if-
think I'm in. Sorry.
that's okay. And if you think that would be that progressive kind of endorsement would be helpful to you,
Mhm.
I'm real sure you'd get it.
Okay, yeah, I'll check. I will reach out to them. Who would you recommend I talk to?
Lucero Mesa.
Okay.
Oh, Lucero's great. I love her.
But yeah, I will do that. I appreciate that. But I'm probably gonna hop off too, just because it's almost bedtime.
Okay, great
Mhm.
talking to you.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing y'all next week.
You bet. It should be enjoyable.
Have a good night.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.